This video is all about linearizing data using Google Sheets. So let's say you collect your data and you've inserted into your Google Sheet document. So we have, in our example, for our X data set, we have velocity measured in meters per seconds. And on the Y, we have acceleration, which is measured in meters per second squared. So what we're going to do from there is just kind of our basic insertion of scatter plots, and we're going to use that information to try to linearize that later on. So just like in our regular data plots, I'm going to select all of our information, click Insert, Chart. Now remember, with Google Sheets, there's a few things that we need to change in order to make our data correct. So first, I'm going to go over to Chart Type and change that to Scatter Plot. And if we look at our increments here, Google Sheets puts them as equal increments, even though they're definitely not. So we have a difference of 3 here, we have a difference of 15 there. So to change that, we want to go to Customize, Horizontal Axis, and unclick that Treat Labels as Text. So that's going to give us a little bit better view. So as I look at this data, something that's different from what we've done in the past is it is non-linear. So you notice there's kind of a gradual curve to it. So if we were to do a linear best fit line, that's not going to be very precise to our data. So we need to analyze how we're going to do that. So the first thing you do once you figure out that it's non-linear is go to your yellow sheet that we put into your notebooks. And we have to identify which one of these graphs best correlates to your data. So if we kind of look at the graph shapes, it looks like this very last one best correlates to our data. So we've got kind of that nice curve going there, which means we want to use that bottom one. So it tells us that we need to graph y squared versus x. So let's go back to that. I'm going to kind of put that over here. Y squared versus x. So what this means is we're going to leave our x numbers alone, but we need to take all of our y data and square it in order to linearize that information. So let's do that. I'm just going to take this. I'm going to hit Control C to copy that information, and then Control V to paste it down below. I'm going to pull this down here just so we have it. Copy and paste. Okay. So we need to mess with that y squared value. So let's think about our variable in units first off. So we're going to have acceleration still, but now it's acceleration squared based on the information we have there. And now our units are going to be a little bit funky. It's going to be, instead of meters per second squared, it's going to be meters squared, and seconds squared is going to be seconds to the 4th. So let's do that. We just need to take all of this data and square it over here. So I'm going to write equals 3 times 3, so that's squaring 9. Another way you could do it is turn it into a little formula. So the way we can do that is I can say equals, and I'm going to say whatever value is in there to the second power, and that'll automatically update. What's nice about Google Sheets is I can just take this box right here and drag it all the way down. So I'm having Google Sheets generate those values for us by making a formula. Now you can always go back in and do 5.48 times 5.48, 7.14, and on and on and on. But that's kind of a shortcut that's nice to use. So now let's input that graph. So we have our y squared, which is this column, and our x, which is this column. So a nice handy tip to select things that aren't next to each other is I'm going to drag this. I'm going to hold down the control button and drag that. So notice that it let me select both of those kind of at the same time, and that's by holding the control button and selecting those. And now we're going to insert chart, and once again it's going to give us a column chart, which we need to change into a scatter plot. And those increments are still a little bit funky, so I'm going to go to Customize, Horizontal Axis, and unclick Treat Labels as Text. So you notice we have a nice linear fit from the data that we collected. So if I go to Series, Trend Line, and I'm going to say use equation. That gives us a nice equation, essentially 7x plus 2. So now our new equation becomes y squared equals 7x plus 2. So now that you've graphed everything, your next step is to take that equation that you created, inputting the proper variables in units to get your final physics equation.